really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's be free Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free.
Hello, I'm Janna, and welcome to the Crafty Corner. Today, I'm here for the Cardmaker Success Summit Q&A session. Now, the card that I made for this year's March 2025 Cardmaker Success Summit is Fantastic Florals, and here's the card. This year, I've decided to go along the lines of Distress Glaze, one of my favorite distress products. We've used a whole variety of Sizzix Tim Holtz dyes, and we used glaze to create our main focal point. I'm greatly looking forward to all of your questions and comments today and can't wait to answer any and all of your questions. Thank you so much for being here today. Any fun, crafty hacks you can share? Well, the first thing, if you're ever using Distress Glaze, always use a static pouch. I don't know about you, but my fingers tend to leave a bit of an oily residue, and if you've got thick fingerprints, then a anti-static pouch is going to be your best friend. I like to give my substrates a good wipe down with this anti-static pouch before going in with the Distress embossing ink and then going in with the glaze. It saves a lot of trouble and gets rid of those pesky little smudges that you might find later after applying glaze or embossing powders to a project. Rebecca, would you please explain the difference between distress glazes and embossing powders? Absolutely. So, distress glazes, when you melt them with the heat tool, they're translucent. So this is like super cool. You could stamp on your substrate first. Like if you have some cardstock and you wanted to do some text in the background, you could then put the glaze over the top. And when you emboss it, it's going to be clear. Now, traditional embossing powders, you cannot get away with that. You can put down your stamping first, but if you emboss over the top, embossing powders are opaque. So you won't be able to see through them. That is the primary difference between the two. Thank you so much for the question. Loretta, Jana, I love your wall of colors. Which ones are most often used? Oh, that's a great question, Loretta. So my current go-to color is Chip Sapphire, but I also love Villainous Potion. But because this is a distress, I have to play with them all. So whichever one is my hand tends to be my absolute favorite of the moment. Thanks for the question. Susan, how long has it taken you to collect all of the beautiful supplies behind you? Oh, my word, Susan, years and years. But I did have a little help because I was on a D team for a while, and I was very fortunate, and that did help me grow my collection. But let's see here. I started collecting all of the delicious Tim Holtz products back in 2018. Joe, question. Do you work for Tim Holtz? And if not, would you want to? No, I don't work for Tim Holtz, but I think he's absolutely awesome as a designer. And if his D team was still open, that would absolutely be a dream place to be. But I'm pretty happy just running my own YouTube channel and doing crafty things. What is your YouTube channel name? So I do have a YouTube channel and the name is The Crafty Corner with Gianna. And my channel does feature pretty much anything and everything Tim Holtz. I do have an upcoming series in April. We're going to be doing a 5-part Easter series and all things spring. So I've got that to look forward to. And videos on The Crafty Corner come out every Friday and I try to do a short at least once a week. Susan, so the glazes make it look like stained glass. Absolutely. You can definitely get a really cool stained glass look with this. It's got a definite shine to it if you like things that have a bit of shine. I think that the real stained glass look can be achieved when you're using the Rager Distress translucent texture paste or the translucent grit paste. If you put that down first through a stencil and then sprinkle glazes over the top, that absolutely looks like stained glass and it is magical. Diane, what dye machine do you use? Oh, my go-to dye machine is currently the Sizzix Switch, but my close second would have to be the Sizzix Sidekick because it is so portable and small and easy to take on the go. Great question. Susan, can you explain what a D team is? Oh, sorry. I'm getting over a little cold, so design team, DT. I used to work for the Funky Junkie, and I was on their design team for almost 3 years. Annette, do you take the Tim Holtz creative chemistry classes? And if so, do you recommend them? Oh my word, absolutely. I've done Creative Chem 1 and 2. I can't wait to do Creative Chem 3. Just trying to find the time. And yes, I do recommend them. They are so fun and you get to go in and learn all sorts of techniques. And more importantly, you can pause and stop when you need to, go back, look at the steps, and they have a really nice pace to them. So absolutely, if you haven't taken them, I highly recommend it. Dorothy, where can you purchase the glazes? So, distressed glazes can be found at most local craft stores. I like to get my stuff through Simon Says Stamp. They've got a full range. And of course, if you want to go straight to the source, head on to Rager.com. They've got all the distressed glaze that you could possibly want. So, those would be my top two recommendations Simon Says Stamp and Rager Ink. What kind of paper do you use it on? I love to use the distress glazes on mixed media cardstock or distress white heavy cardstock. You can pretty much use it almost over anything, but if you're going to use darker color cardstocks, like let's say some of the Sizzix colors, just be mindful of which colors you're using because if you're using a cardstock underneath glaze, it's going to change its color. The same is true if you wanted to use a craft stock. Craft stock can look really cool and you could get some effects, but it'll slightly change the look of how your glaze is going to appear. Great question. Virginia, I've never used glaze. Is it hard to work with? Personally, I don't think so. If you have images that you like to stamp with, I suggest take a butterfly, for example. You find some paper, you stamp it. Now, one little thing. If you've got thick fingerprints, I highly recommend the anti-static pouch because it will help avoid smudges. So, paper, anti-static, stamp with Distress Embossing ink, dump the glaze on, Tip the extra glaze off onto a scrap piece of paper. Put the scrap piece of paper and the extra glaze aside. Scoop it into the other jar. Give a teeny tiny tap to your paper to get extra glaze off, and then melt with your preference of embossing tool. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend trying glaze if you haven't. Joe, question. What is your favorite medium to work with? Oh my word, so hard to choose. At heart, I'm definitely a mixed media artist because I have to play with it all. I can't just choose one thing. I can't just do dyes. I mean, this card alone, we've got sprays in the background, we've got the glazes, we've got the die cuts. I really can't choose. But I think I can't live without inks. Inks are the foundation of almost everything that I work with, so inks are my go-to medium. Good question. Thank you. Rebecca, I do lots of heat embossing, so have my favorite embossing powders adhesive stamp pad. Do I have to use the distress dabber? No, absolutely not. If you've got your own preference for the ink that you could stick with embossing powder, then go for it. There's lots of other good ones out there. Versafine is definitely a good one as well. I just like the dabber because I find its creative usefulness for getting into small areas on different stamps. Billy, have you done glaze upon glaze? If so, what is the effect? Okay, glaze upon glaze can be really, really neat. If you do multiple layers of glaze, you can actually get this really neat faux glass look and this really cool buildup. Now, if you want to do glaze upon glaze, I highly recommend taking a metal object, like let's say an ideology metal butterfly. You put your collage medium down, do your first layer of glaze, heat it. Then while the glaze is still hot, pour on more glaze. It could be the same color or a different color, but you're going to get this magical buildup. And the more you melt, the more the colors are going to play. And it's really cool. So glaze upon glaze, definitely a win. To be free at last. Where can I find the link to the video where you made the beautiful card? So this is in the Card Maker Success Summit. Um, I believe it's under the title of Fantastic Florals. Oh, thank you, Stampy, for some love for throwing that link up. What other crafts do you like to make? So I'm primarily a card maker, but I'm also a mixed media artist. I love to do lots of art journaling, and if it's not actual art supplies I'm collecting, I am terribly addicted to collecting journals. Usually have a big stack of journals around, and I love to create. That's where all my crazy ideas go when I'm experimenting. How often do you craft? If I'm lucky, daily. But as a mom and someone who has a full-time job, I'm probably in the craft room maybe 5 times a week. So ideally, it would be every day. Crafty I am. I saw your ideology make. Uh, I've done lots of ideology makes. Which one? I'm curious. What started you on your journey in art and how old were you? Oh my word, that's going back so long. When I was really young, I can remember my mom pulled out craft supplies around Christmas time and we'd make our own Christmas tree ornaments. My earliest memory was probably when I was maybe 4 years old making paper chains. So I definitely get my love of crafting from my mom. And just when I was young, just the joy of seeing the craft box come out always made me so excited. So I've been crafting for as long as I can remember. Crafty I am. The Haunted Library. Oh, yes, the Haunted Library. That was so fun. Oh my word, that was like almost 75 books of ideology. Yeah, that was a fun one. I absolutely love projects like that. I love doing full-scale builds. Anything in 3 dimensions where you can build outwards and it's not just a flat image. Definitely a lot of fun. Crafty I am. Peculiar and curiouser things. Oh, definitely. There are many things like that about. That's one of the ideology phrases on one of the metal plates. Definitely a favorite. Would you be able to show us an example of your journals? Yes, I have a journal nearby. This is one I recently did. This is a pretty recent spread, and it's a mixed media page that I did. This is in the Ranger Dina Wakely Ledger Journal. We got lots of ideology going on, lots of stamping, some die cutting, and I had a chance to make a fun medallion featuring some Ranger glossy accents. Susan, I missed it. Do you make the journals themselves or just create and sign them? Well, Susan, I collect journals, but I do also make them. I love making handmade journals, and of course, I use lots of Tim Holtz paper to cover them. So a little bit of both handmade journals and a collector of pre-made. Millie, what would you recommend as a prepping material for cardstock when you're going to use several layers of ink? Well, I actually don't prep my cardstock. If I'm using mixed media, it's such a nice thick material that all you really need to do is pretty much spritz and go. I like to work more fluidly when I'm doing ink, so I like to do the ink squish technique where you spray your cardstock first with this water spray and then swish your ink pads down on the craft mat before doing a little bit of dip and dry. If I'm just doing blending, then it's just blending foam, ink pad right onto the paper. No prep needed. Dorothy, I'd like to get into journal making. What would I need to start? So, if you want to journal make, the most important thing is cardstock. I highly recommend Nita Solar Crest. You want something between 90 to 120 pounds because you're going to want something pretty durable, especially if you're looking at a mixed media journal. And after that, you're going to want a good awl to punch through your signatures and some decent thread to bind things together. If you're looking for a suggestion of where to get started, I highly recommend the YouTuber um, Seacraft Lemon. She has excellent tutorials on bookbinding. Crafty I am. Question: what do you do with your scraps? Keep or trash? I keep them and I try to sort them. And this then becomes my stash for die cutting, like when I'm in a die cut mood and just want to die cut flowers and butterflies. So I do try to keep all my scraps sorted by color. Joe, what colors do you gravitate towards the most? Oh my word, I love ocean colors. Cool tones are my go-to jam. I love blues and purples and greens. Don't get me wrong, I do love my warm tones, but my comfort zone is cool colors. Great question. Billy, which mixed media material supplies is your favorite and why? Oh, I don't really have a favorite. I love it all. If we're in the world of distress, I'm using everything. Spritz, sprays, oxides, paints, distress, inks, ideology, you name it. I'm gonna throw it in there because I love creative casserole and it's also good. I want to play with it all. Thank you so much for joining me here today at the Crafty Corner. I've greatly enjoyed spending this time with you and answering your questions and getting to share all the fun of our crafty world. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you'll check out the Crafty Corner with Janna for more crafty fun. Until next time, happy crafting.